Okay folks, let's get right into it. Time for the Daily Celtic Fix, and believe me, there's quite a bit bubbling away. I was prepping for this video. Just had the telly on in the background. And Canada happened to be playing. That caught my attention cause Alistair Johnston was involved. Now, this match was anything but ordinary. Canada were up against El Salvador and won it 2-0. Sounds straightforward, right? Well, not quite. El Salvador had not won, but two players sent off in the first half, both in the space of just a few minutes. The second red was for a blatant elbow off the ball right into Alistair Johnston. Straight red, no hesitation. It wasn't subtle, and Johnston went down, but thankfully, he was fine. Shook it off like a pro, didn't miss a beat. That kind of physicality might have rattled others. But not him. Now, obviously, with El Salvador down to 9 men, the second half was entirely one-way traffic. I mean, if Canada were favorites playing 11 versus 11, imagine what it's like facing 9. That being said, they only managed to put 2 goals past them, and both came in quick succession. Right after the second goal, Johnston was subbed off around the 56th minute, probably just to keep him fresh and avoid any more unnecessary knocks. He actually spent a good chunk of that second half further up the pitch, playing almost as a right winger instead of his usual right back role. Makes sense, with the match basically turning into a glorified training session. But look, if you're worried about him after that hit, don't be. He's all right. Just thought I'd flag that up in case anyone had missed it. Figured you might care, cause I definitely do. Switching gears now, we're getting so close to seeing Celtic back in action. Feels like the off-season has dragged on forever, but it's almost over. The lads are expected back in training early next week, Monday or Tuesday, something like that. And we've got our first preseason match already scheduled for next Friday against Queen's Park. Don't expect to see all the big names in that one, mind you. Guys like Johnston, who's just been on international duty, or Kasper Schmeichel, who's also had a busy few weeks, probably won't feature straight away. Kieran Tierney as well, maybe he'll be given a bit more rest. But the club will definitely have a squad out there, and it'll be our first proper glimpse of the preparations for the season ahead. Now, the club's released the full preseason schedule, and it's looking pretty stacked, I must say. After Queen's Park, we're off to Ireland to face Cork next Tuesday. That one's at Percuishauim. Then, on Saturday the 12th of July, we're heading to Portugal for a behind-closed-doors match against Estrela da Amadora. I'll be honest, I hadn't really heard of them before this was announced, but they're in the top flight over in Portugal and managed to avoid relegation last season by the skin of their teeth. Should still be a good test, though. Following that, we've got a big one, Sporting Lisbon. That'll be on Wednesday the 16th of July, and it kicks off at 7:30 at night. Then, just a few days later, we're back at Celtic Park to host Newcastle United Saturday the 19th of July. 3 o'clock kickoff. That's shaping up to be a cracking fixture. And then, of course, there's the Como Cup. That's gonna be a really exciting little tournament. We start off by facing Ajax in our opening match, which takes place on Thursday the 24th of July. It's a late one, 7:30 in Glasgow, 8:30 over in Italy. The night before, Como takes on Al Ahly, and then the winners and losers of those 2 matches play again across the weekend. The third place playoff is set for Saturday night, again at 7:30, and the final, should we make it there, is on Sunday at 7. Every match in the tournament's being held at the Stadio Giuseppe Sinigaglia, which should be a decent venue. The club actually made a point to highlight that we're playing 3 clubs in this preseason who are already confirmed for the Champions League group stage: Sporting Lisbon, Newcastle, and Ajax. That's no joke. These are serious opponents, and that's really the idea, isn't it? Get the team ready, get everyone sharp, and get us into peak condition for when the real stuff starts. It's not just about fitness anymore, it's about being competitive from minute 1 of the campaign, especially with the Champions League qualifiers looming. Right, onto another bit of news that might have slipped under the radar for some. Ross Doohan, remember him? Well, he's officially back at Celtic. The club rolled out the red carpet for him, proper announcement and everything. Not just a wee mention tucked away on the website. He even gave an interview where he opened up about how the move came about. Turns out it all started with a simple text from Stevie Woods, our goalkeeping coach. Doohan said it was literally just a message asking if he was free for a quick call. The call lasted 2 minutes. Stevie just asked if he'd be interested in coming back to Celtic, and before the sentence was even finished, Doohan had already said yes. Now, let's be honest here, he's coming in as third choice goalkeeper. He knows it, we know it, but he's buzzing to be back, buzzing to work with Kasper Schmeichel and Benji Siegrist, and especially buzzing to work with Stevie Woods again. He talked a lot about how much he rates the coaching setup here, and how he's ready to put in the graft, make an impression, and maybe even push himself into contention. There's also a wee bit of Scotland chat here too. Doohan recently made his debut for the national team, and given that Scotland isn't exactly stacked with top-tier goalkeepers at the moment, you do start to wonder if he could climb the ranks there. Angus Gunn's injured, and frankly, there's not a long queue of elite keepers waiting in the wings. The big question, though, is whether you can really become Scotland's #1 while sitting third in the pecking order at club level. Tough ask, that, but you know, we as fans tend to brush off these third-choice signings like they don't matter. And maybe we're a bit guilty of that mindset, myself included. The truth is, these players often play a much bigger role behind the scenes than we give them credit for. Think about Scott Bain. He hasn't played a ton lately, but by all accounts, he's been a huge presence in the dressing room, especially among the keeper group. That's a tight-knit unit. They spend a lot of time training separately from the rest of the squad, just the keepers and Stevie Woods. It becomes a little team within the team. So someone like Doohan might not get many minutes, but if he's helping keep morale high, pushing the other keepers, and keeping the standards up in training, then that's a role worth filling properly. And from what we've heard, he's got the right attitude for it now. Let's talk about the club's structure off the pitch, because there's been a bit of movement there too. About a week ago, Darren O'Day left his role at Celtic to join Swansea City as assistant head coach. That created a vacancy for a rather unique position, professional player pathway manager. Try squeezing that onto a business card. It's a role that's all about bridging the gap between the academy and the first team. The idea is to help bring through more young talent from the B team and the youth system, while also managing loan moves and making sure those players are getting the right kind of experience. O'Day was the first to hold the position, and by all accounts, he did a decent job. Now, some fans were throwing names around, talking about who might replace him. Charlie Mulgrew came up a few times. Makes sense. He's got history with the club, knows the setup, and has experience, but we've now had an update, and it looks like Sean Maloney is the one set to take over. That's a name that carries a bit of weight. Maloney was previously part of our under-20s coaching staff during Brendan Rodgers' first stint in charge, and the two of them clearly rate each other quite highly. There's a relationship there already, which always helps. As a player, Maloney had a solid career: Celtic, Aston Villa, Wigan, even a spell in the MLS with Chicago Fire. And since hanging up his boots, he's taken on some serious coaching gigs. He was part of the Belgium national team's coaching staff under Roberto Martinez, managed Hibernian, and even had a go at Wigan Athletic. The results there weren't spectacular, to be fair. But he's not being brought in to manage the B team or anything like that. That's still Stephen McManus' role. This is more about development, relationships, and the long-term pathway. What Maloney brings to the table is an understanding of what it means to come through the Celtic academy and break into the first team. He's lived it. He knows the pressures, the expectations, and the culture of the club. And that could be invaluable for the next generation of players trying to do the same. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. There's a whisper starting to float through the corridors of Celtic Park, and it's got the fans holding their breath. Word is that Kasper Schmeichel, the experienced Danish shot stopper recently brought in to shore up Celtic's goalkeeping ranks, picked up a knock during training this week. The club has yet to release any official statement, but sources close to Lennox Town suggest the keeper left the session early, favouring what looked to be a lower leg issue. It's the sort of chatter that spreads fast in Glasgow, and with good reason. Schmeichel's arrival was seen as a statement of intent by the Hoops, bringing not only top-level pedigree, but also leadership to a squad aiming to assert dominance, both domestically and in Europe. While no one inside the club is going on record, the training ground incident has sparked plenty of speculation. Was it just a precautionary withdrawal? Or could the veteran be set for a spell on the sidelines? Some supporters are already looking nervously at the depth behind Schmeichel, with the fixture list not getting any lighter. And with Champions League qualifiers looming on the horizon, any absence, however short, could prove costly. Others, though, are taking a more measured view. After all, players often get knocks in training, and the fact there's no official confirmation may point to it being nothing more than a slight strain or a rest day in disguise. Still, in a city where football talk never sleeps, the silence from Celtic is only fueling the flames. The whispers are there, in pubs, on message boards, and around the stadium, and until the club breaks its quiet or Schmeichel is spotted back in training, those whispers are only going to grow louder. For now, it's a waiting game, but in Glasgow, where every knock can become a headline, Casper's limp is quickly becoming the story of the week. Hello, fan! Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as IT means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.